Hi, Ray. Getting those colors natural looking for renders can be kind of tricky. It's called, basically what it's called is pearl mapping, and it's one of the harder things to achieve that will look natural. So you probably know a lot of this already. In fact, this video might not be anything new for you. So what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to pull out a little sample that I made. And so when you bring out your render menu, it typically looks like this, right? And you know, for the yellow mother of pearl, you would think that picking one of these would work out, but it just sometimes doesn't look that great. So what you can do is go over to Applied Materials, and what you want to do is actually make your own pearl map there. And you can do it a few different ways. I don't usually ever use this function, and that's probably a mistake. But you know what, actually, here, let's try doing it two ways. There we go. Alright. First we'll take this guy here, and let's go for the pink mother of pearl, right? Alright, so first maybe we'll try to make the body color a little bit more pink. Maybe mess with this a little bit. Blemish intensity, let's pull that all the way over to high and see what it looks like. That should be about it. Okay, so then you choose this and you have to hit the green button. Okay, you don't ever have to hit these. You just fool around with a couple of these guys here, choose that, hit the green button, and you know it took it when it blinked. Okay, but a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just go over to this side. Now an opal is more opaque, it's not very transparent, so I'll leave all these settings the same for the properties and the texture and all of that. I won't change that at all, but I'll change the map. So I saved an image that Nadir had sent me, and then I found a few of my own, and I saved them in my file for you. One of the ones he sent me was the yellow mother of pearl, and the other one is one I found is this pink mussel shell. So all I did was find this picture online, and then I just trimmed it in Paint and saved it as you can save it as a PNG or a JPEG. It doesn't make too much of a difference at this point. Okay, so now see how this does not match that. Alright, so we're going to take this and hit this button. Alright, this photo here is not a representation of what this is going to be. It's just kind of where you started from. Okay, so now the outsides here, we'll make them the same color. Which I also do in this material editor here. So I just picked the little ring for metal, go to yellow gold, and for the renders I've been running, I don't know if Nadir's super happy with this, but I've been using this color down here. It's all the way at the bottom, the second one over. And you just hit the green button, and it's going to take that. The overall scene is going to be this one. I just leave it that way because the white background allows me to do a lot more simplistic editing than if it had a different background. Okay, and that's it. We just hit render, and see how that goes. Okay, so I stopped the video for a couple of minutes to let it render, but so you'll see that this was just from the pearl, and just from changing some of these things over here, but it doesn't look as good as when we actually put a picture of the mother of pearl onto the piece. And so that would definitely be the way to go there, and that'll work. A lot of it's just going to depend on your picture. So Nadir gave me another picture that looked like Nadir gave me another picture. Let me pull it out here. And this stuff takes forever, so I apologize. Actually, I'm going to pause. Okay, here's the picture, the other picture that he had given me, which it's great, but it didn't render so well. So if I choose this one, and it has a lot to do with the pattern there, if I choose that and apply it to this, and I just like to use this Opal because all these, the transparency of the object is set to about where I want it to be for this. So, but you might choose to use, you might choose to go over here to the pearl settings. Well, actually, let's do it here. Actually, no, we can't. Nope. Because we want to be able, that's why I used Opal. I knew there was a good reason. What you want to be able to do is put a map on where it says color. You just want that to be a map. And here, I guess this is what's really helping, is that it's an opaque image. So let me just show you that again. Pause. Where's the pause button? Okay, I got that. I chose that image again there. All right, so let me show you what this looks like. Okay, so you can see it's rendered now. And so that pattern comes on here, which can be misleading to a client unless the inlay is actually going to look like that. So what you'll need is a better image of the yellow mother of pearl. The way that this turns out, it's just plastering a picture onto here. And of course the light's interacting with it, but it's an opaque image. But I really think that's the best way to go about getting that onto there. The other thing that I noticed that is making a difference with the renders is how the inlay is actually shaped in matrix. Now, of course, you know, it's almost irrelevant for us as designers to put that on there because it gets cut by hand. So the only purpose that it serves is just for a render, right? So if I take this and I make a whatever. If I just make a flat surface out of that, instead of one that's a little puffy, if that makes sense, what happens is it just greatly affects the outcome here. And I'm going to pause this again and render it so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so you'll see here, this just has a more natural look to it than this does. It's just too flat, it's too perfect, it's too seamless. So what you'll want to do when you're actually making your inlays for rendering is you want them to sometimes kind of puff a little bit, or even just kind of pull them back a little bit. Just barely, to get them to look nice. Now, there's so many different ways that you could go about getting these to do that. So, for instance, here's two that I set up for you. If you have a planar, if you have like on a pendant or an earring, you have like a planar curve, right? So it's flat. You just simply hit MSR, okay? Enter, and click on it again, and then hit Profile Cap, and just use the Profile Cap tool to just kind of make it look a little bit puffy. And that'll give you a better render that way. What I did notice that you have going on some of the pieces is your inlays. They're very cool, by the way, but they kind of like have these corners, which look really cool, but then when you go to use that Profile Cap, it won't work. I'll show you why. If I hit MSR, I got that, but then if I hit the Profile Cap, it doesn't know what to do, like kind of in this area through here. If you pull it out, you're going to have a funny shape there. So those types of areas are going to be a bit more problematic, as well as the areas that are like not planar and they're along a ring. But a couple ways that you can kind of get around that easily, you could use T-splines, where you would just take you know, take this line and hit Alt, scale it out, bring it down, hit Alt again, make a copy, scale it out, and then you start kind of just like rotating and playing with this until you get it the way you want. And the beauty of this is you don't need a solid. You just need something to put a render on to attach your little image. It's not, you know, you have to think differently about it. You just want to think like, what is the least that I can get away with? Oh, this is all wonky now. But here, I'm going to show you something. Okay, so I don't use T-splines a lot, truth be told. It's super handy for this type of edge. You could use fillet edge, but it won't work through here. So that's super handy for that. So now instead of like trying to connect all this, I'm just going to like hit surface and planar curves. Okay, so now I got this and this, right? And connect them. I think it made that into a... Okay, yeah, that's it. Now it's a... that is no longer a T-spline surface. Alright, so it just looks crummy though because it's got all this going on. Sometimes I'll just run drape on the lowest setting, which is 5. Comes out automatically like that. And just go over it. Auto detach, just leave it on. And that kind of softens everything. So I'll get rid of that original shape that we did. And now I've got something that's like just much softer. But of course it's too big, but the beauty is like who really cares, because you can just trim it off. Get rid of that. And I'm just gonna pull it out. Alright, I'm stuck. I'm going to hit pause. And we're back. Okay. So you just kind of manipulate this how you want it. And my goal right now is just to keep that up. My goal is to use the right gumball tool. Alright, I hate it when that happens. Actually, here, I'm going to take this and split it with this. Bingo, get rid of that. There's an extra surface in there. Alright, so now I've got something that's more organic shape that I can run, something more natural looking that I can run this command on. Instead of it being so flat. But the hardest ones that are going to be to do, the planar ones are no problem. Just pop a profile cap on it or something. The harder ones are going to be, whoops, see, this is what happens when you don't follow through here. Ding. You have to kind of make these natural looking surfaces on non-planar areas. It can get a little bit more complicated, but so now you're seeing like a much more authentic look for the way these are. And of course these renders take forever to run, right? So what I do when I do renders for nadir is I'll do one like let's pick one. I did one last night. Yeah, we'll just pull this guy out. Okay, so like I'll set up a big render, right, where it's like all of the whole collection, and then open up, and this is very simplistic. This, you don't need Photoshop, and you probably already know how to do this. It's probably a waste of your time to hear this, but yeah, just to be on the safe side, I'll just show you how I do it. Sometimes we overcomplicate things when they're a lot more simplistic. Okay, so I'll just take his logo and hit copy, get rid of this, come back here, hit paste, resize, and I've been going like 50 or 40%, and move it over here and there. Now because I can do that, why so easily in Paint, is because I used this setup, and you know, it just allows you to very simply, you know, I can grab this earring, as long as I can get a square around it, I can grab that and move it around because the background's white. There's just no problems with it. I did have a little bit of a problem chopping that out. I don't know what I was thinking with that, but anyways, that's a great way to do it. Now the other thing that you guys were having, the other thing that he sent me was like turquoise. Okay, so here's the thing with turquoise. Any of your stones that are pretty much like onyx and turquoise, you probably do the same thing. I just use aqua plastic. Now, of course, you can go through here and adjust the some of these reflection amounts. I'm sure that turquoise has a bit higher gloss than regular plastic does. And really, it's just these three things right here. I don't ever play around with these for something like this, just these three here. So we just choose that, right? And then go back and get that nice rich yellow color on there. And that ought to run you a nice turquoise, especially since we have a more natural looking shape for the inlay as well. I mean, it's just going to give you a little bit of reflection through here for the gloss. I'm going to hit pause. Alright, so that's done rendering, so you can see that just looks a little bit more authentic. So that should be it. The only other thing that I didn't really look at was Lapis. And so, I mean, you guys have Lapis there, so you probably just take a picture of it. But if you just type in Lapis on something on the search engine, hopefully nothing bad is going to come up. I hate image search for that reason. Okay, you just need to grab a good shot of it, right? So you're just looking for, actually that's perfect right there. So you just save that, in your little file for images, right? And then I can go back, and I was working on the Opal presets. Go to that little file folder and find where you saved your file. This is where I usually hit pause, but I just don't have the heart to do it again. Okay, here we go. Choose that, put that there. Make this rich yellow. Put a foreground down. Hit render. The only thing that I have to say past these ideas would be to use depth of field. But a depth of field render is going to take a long time to run. If you guys want me to do a video on that, I can. It's so much easier in Matrix 7 than it used to be in Matrix 6 to run a depth of field render. But it's not handy to do all of them that way. But if you want, if you have a Premiere design that you just think turned out great, and you know that you guys can make it to look exactly like the picture, and it's just awesome, and like a cover shot basically, then you definitely want to turn depth of field on. What depth of field is going to do, it's going to just give this a more photorealistic look. It's going to be certain portions are going to be in focus and certain portions will be out of focus. It just gives it that touch of realism that you don't typically get. Alright, and so there's the Lapis right there. So that's all I have to say about the colors. You know, the stuff that has variation in color, just use a map, and then for the turquoise and onyx, just use the plastic. And if you want to change these around and kind of experiment with these to see if you can get a better look, that's how I do it. But actually, you know, today I noticed that the onyx is right there, so you could just use that. But they don't have turquoise in here. There's so much stuff that's missing. I did not see turquoise. Nope, there's no turquoise. So coral, I mean, and then too, if you want to change this color, you just go to color. Like, let's say your turquoise is a little bit darker, and you know it's going to update it for you there. Don't worry about this. This is just a preset. You don't need to update that color of the bunny. But if you need to change the color over here, you can certainly do that. All right, that's all I got. Thanks.